Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear on what vinegar syndrome does? Okay, last time. This is your film. This is vinegar syndrome. This is your film on vinegar syndrome. Any questions?
I don't have plans and schemes, and I don't have hopes and dreams. I don't have anything, since I don't have you.
Hello, it's me again. You may be asking me, Oscar, what the hell is a B-roll? Is B-roll what you pull from for the majority of your videos because you can't deliver any lines well and you have to continuously cut around mistakes that you make? No, B-roll is a completely different thing than a B-roll, and you should be much more respectful to me. First, in 1923, this is when Kodak announced this small gauge, which has now become such a standard for amateur filmmaking and film collectorship, even to this day. But in those 1920s, it was largely a method of getting shortened versions of longer films. In the 1950s, it became much more of a filmmaker's go-to choice if you wanted to save money on costs. It was made for many industrials and used for local television. But it wasn't until the actual 1950s when they introduced this system, which is called a B-roll. The reason why we're using a B-roll for this, which is the original negative material, is because it was a format meant to hide splice lines. Splice lines in 16mm, when you're actually printing out to a positive element, a release print or a projection print. For 16mm, you can't block that out. You can't mask that out. It's very visible splices. This is where the cut is, but you see the issue. Once you actually make a cement splice here, there's an actual affecting of the actual image. Whereas on 35, you could mask this out in projection once you have a duplicated print. A B-roll makes a very seamless image where instead of cutting directly single strand, the black section covers every piece of image. Very beautifully put is a checkerboard patterned negative where 2 reels make up 1 reel. This film is 5 reels, so you'd have to scan and capture sound for 5 reels. You have to wind through reel 1A, reel 1B, and continue all 10 reels to construct the full version. And then in addition to that, you'd have to also do the sound. So it's 15 reels altogether versus 5. This leader would actually block out the light, so you're able to once again have a half exposed duplicated element, and you could go back and sync up the B-roll to the same place, and wherever that slug was in the first one, you could expose the second section. For this example, we have another element which corresponds to this one perfectly, which is the Blowup CRI. Why CRI was very important was from this actual element, you could make a Blowup CRI, and automatically from there, you could make 35mm prints. If you looked at this element, you could tell that this was a Blowup from 16. You can see sections of the frames below and above the actual 16mm element that this was duped from. If you can see here, this is the exact place where the actual film is cut. Those 2 reels that we saw combined to make 1 reel. A B-roll. Good or bad? Pretty good, I'd say. It's also sometimes used for effects shots, so fade outs and dissolves, oftentimes used for credits. Very unique facet of film history, which is often not thought of these days, but very worthwhile to note. If you see a B-roll that is original negative material in most cases. My only drug in the end is film. And that is what your drug should be too. A little PSA from me, from someone who learned their A, B roles and Cs. So thank you.